Yeah, man. But it's one of those things where if you can outgrow an allergy, or if you could, yeah, if you're gonna outgrow an allergies, because for example, if you're allergic to peanuts, how do you then find out that you're not? You know what I'm saying? That's a risky game you're playing, sir.
Yeah, that's a deadly game you're playing there. It's
You're around
it's
to eat
different with like different with things like allergic like allergic to pets and whatnot. Like I think the reason I grew out of it was just because I was around so many like cats where I was living before. There was like about 6 or 7 cats in that fucking one house. So it was just like you're used to that, like the dander of it, and it just you just grow out of it eventually. I find anyways. But yeah, I really the horses I'm not really I didn't really the last time I was around a horse, it didn't really like set me off or anything like that. But I still don't want to try because that's fucking scary. It's a hospital trip right there.
Yeah, for no reason. You
Exactly.
fuck
No
around and go to
fucking
try to pet
reason.
it. I'm gonna pet the horse. All of a sudden, your arm swells up. You're like, nah.
No,
like,
the face swells up.
oh, see, that's that bullshit, bro. Like, then you walking around looking like Will Smith in Hitch or whatever, motherfucking, bro. That movie's funny as shit. My boy's out here
Oh,
tripping the whole
yes.
time. The whole
That is
time he's tripping.
pretty close to what it would look like, honestly. Last time and the real time we found out I was allergic to horse after I got off a horse and just went blowfish. And my brother was like dragging me back to my mom. He's like, "Hey, I think we need to go to the hospital." And I'm just like fuck.
That's so terrible. That's terrible, man. See, and that's the thing. I from young Trent, I always had the kind of the immunity to things where I motherfuckers be playing with dirt. You know how little boys be. Little motherfuckers be playing with dirt, picking up random shit that fell on the ground that you're not supposed to pick up. Like that fell out. Like if somebody like drops half a sandwich, you just a kid, you pick it up and you're like, bro, that's somebody's half the sandwich. Throw that shit on the ground and what? Come wash your hands, like, because you're curious as a kid, right? Bro, I find out I don't really have like allergies to anything because I was terrible as a kid, man. I'm telling you, I was terrible. Like you up going up to age maybe from like 0 or whatever to 4, you be fucking around licking things and throwing things and eating things, and you're saying your parents are slapping shit out your hands so fast and shit, bro. But it's funny as fuck because you find out you're not allergic in the strangest way. Sometimes your parents just know, oh no, my son's not allergic. Get him away from whatever, right? Like get him whatever you could think of being allergic to. But then like my mom's just like, you must not be allergic to nothing because my sisters like they might have allergies to cats, like you said. My one sister, I think she's like allergic to eggs or some shit. Like I don't know, man. Shit's wild. Like on some like when you're making if ever you're making some type of potato salad or some this whatever you can add eggs in or whatever. Nah, you got to put hers out first and then add the eggs and all that other shit. But I say all that to say, bro, finding out you don't have allergies is like almost like a superpower in a sense because you be tripping, thinking that you can just, oh, well, let me try this. Let me try this shrimp. Let me try this whatever food. And then like you don't really have to worry about like passing out.
My grandfather found that one out the hard way.
That's what I was
The
gonna
shrimp
say.
one.
That's what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Woo. Apparently, my grandmother took him. I think I don't remember this. I can't remember the specifics of it. Either they went out somewhere or she made him shrimp and he fucking had to go to the hospital. But there's also like allergy tests and whatnot, which fucking suck, frankly. Like I've had it done twice now, and both times it sucked. Like you literally lay down and they draw like squares on your back, and then they fucking scratch your back like in those spots, so it like draws blood basically, and then they like this one's gonna be this. There's like different like allergens and stuff like that, and
Wow.
then literally just lay on your stomach and wait for the fucking things to puff up or not puff up, basically. So yeah, that's a fun time.
On some trial and error type shit. Like that's some
Just like skin though, it was like skin contact, and from that they can determine like, oh yeah, you're fucking really allergic to this, you're really allergic to that, stay away from that sort of thing. But my allergies been fucked this year just because the pollen count's off the charts this year. Like Jesus Christ.
see even that Trent. unfortunately, for you to not be able to pick up a flower and smell that bitch without passing out type shit. Like that's some crazy, like that's some craziness. You start sneezing to the point of like, get a medic, somebody get a medic. Cause you're just uncontrollably sneezed and then you fuck around and, or I don't know how you react to pollen, but it's like,
there was one time I was walking home and from the one bar to City Hall, which is a good like block and maybe 2 blocks just because of the half and a half. So like probably a good 2 blocks. I did not stop sneezing the whole way, like walking the whole way. I think it must have been in the neighborhood of like 30 sneezes in a row, something like that. I thought I was going to die by the end of it. Like I was just like, this is how I die, death by sneezing while I'm walking. Like, what the fuck?
I can imagine, bro. That's that bullshit. And then you're sitting there thinking to yourself like, motherfucker, I almost died. For you to be like almost died off a sneeze, or for you to be like a hiccup almost died.
Sneezes.
No, but that's what I'm saying. No, but I mean, it could potentially be one literal last sneeze. That's the one that's going to do it. It's not, like, although it's been maybe 30 in a row, that's a scary, bro. For you to die from a hiccup or some shit like that, where your body's just involuntarily doing some shit. Like you're just like, ain't just a bit. You're saying to yourself, bro, if I perish right now over this motherfucking sneeze or over this hiccup or over this cough or whatever, because even like after you hit a toke or whatever, you be saying to yourself, all right, this might be it for me. I'm uncomfortably high. Like I'm in a different stratosphere. Then you turn to Snoop Dogg talking about I'm on that intergalactic planetarium, just out here tripping and shit. Like it's not worth it in my opinion, bro. It's not worth it to try to reach the abyss. Like Charlie Murphy when he's talking about Rick James. I mean, that's a totally different set of vices. But I'm just saying, you fuck around and go to the abyss off whatever, you might not come back from that bitch. Some people dwell in the abyss, man. Not me. Some people dwell there.
I almost did it I thought I almost did it in 2019 with some acid.
And how did that go?
Oh, well, I was not in a good headspace to take it. Number one. Number two, it was a bad day outside, so I couldn't leave my apartment. So those set and setting were both fucked. So from the get-go, it was a bad call. Like, and I should have known better. But anyways, I took it. The first like few hours of it were pretty schizophrenic. I'm not gonna lie. Like I was losing my mind, and I thought like, oh, this is it. This is the one that's gonna put me in fucking, onto the 4th floor. Like at our hospital, it's the 4th floor. Like, oh, this is where I'm gonna be. Like I'm fucked. I'm gonna be an acid victim and whatnot. Like that's gonna be me. No, I kind of came around with it when I was started to listen to the hip and whatnot, and I started like chilling out and getting better with it. But it was just such a like closed in claustrophobic feeling because I didn't want to leave my house because it was fucking raining and like it's windy and blowing and shit out. So it was just like, yeah, I don't want to do this. And I was in a really bad like I said, a bad headspace before because I had been going through some things and whatnot, and it was just not the best time to take it. So I literally just sat here, listened to the hip for a while, and then I watched like probably from season 1 on to like season 4 or 5 of all of however far they were at that time of Letterkenny. Probably not the best call to watch that when you're fucked up on acid. It's not a good it's hilarious show and all that, but it's very jarring in the sense of like, if you've ever seen it, like they'll be at the farm and it's outside and it's nice and calm, like the background chilling and whatnot, and you get used to that and you're vibing to that, and all of a sudden the scene will switch and then you're like with the fucking hockey players doing some fucking weird things and you're like, oh, okay, now it's this and I gotta adjust to that, especially when you're on acid. Things like that jarred me. So yeah, that was a weird day. Like it was just a very taxing day mentally. So once again, set and setting, I fucked that up, and that was all on me. Not on that was the acid is what it is, but like I fucked that up because I should have known better.
Okay, and I definitely understand that your mood, your mental state, and things like that are super important while taking those types of drugs. But
and where you are too.
Yes, your environment. But see, that's what you basically brought up something that I wanted to touch on, like, so we can kind of segue into it. But it's more or less just like suggestions from my point of view, and hopefully you have some ways to de-stress or kind of calm anxiety. The reason why I say that is because although yes, you were talking about an acid trip, I'm talking about just everyday life. But in context, if you have the wherewithal when you're on a trip you can still use some of these motherfuckers. Like you said, you listen to some music that you like. That's actually one of the suggestions I was going to say. Listen to
Listen to
your favorite
music and
music.
sing, actually. Like,
That,
even if it's just
bro,
yourself, I found it's very, very calming.
and that's beautiful because for you to be able to express yourself, like get that, like whatever it is, like even if you're just singing, repeating your favorite artist, you're getting these things out, and it can create some type of positive, whether it's a positive chemical reaction within you that can hopefully counterbalance whatever, if it's anxiety, an actual drug trip, whatever. Like that's the beauty. Like that's what you want to try to aim for. Another way I was going to say is like potentially deep breathing, man. I don't know if you've done the whole
Yep.
deep breathing methods where you try your best to just calm yourself down, bro.
Yep. That
Like those.
works. That really works.
Okay, that's what's up. That's what's up.
I suggest
There's
fresh
another
air. Like,
suggestion.
honestly, like I've had
Yes,
some
beautiful.
really
See,
bad panic. I've had some really bad panic attacks, like at work and whatnot. Not recently, but like in like the recent past, especially wearing masks and whatnot. Like having a panic attack and a mask is fucked. Like it really is. So just getting outside and just being able to get some fresh air and whatnot, like just and get that good fresh air into you. Yeah, I really recommend that. And honestly, like the biggest thing that I found, especially when I first started doing it to help keep everything away, was yoga. And honestly, like you do like a good 15-20 minute session in the morning and like get it all, like a good one where you're focused and you're really paying attention to your movements and whatnot. You have some good like
you're
spa
touching.
music
Yeah,
on in the background and whatnot. Dude, fucking yoga a day keeps the anxiety away, like for real. Like especially if you do it right and you're breathing deep and all that, because that's all it is deep breathing and stretching. That's all it is. But the combination of the two together like is a physical change, and you can physically feel the difference in your body and your
I was
mental well-being the more you keep doing it.
see, and I was gonna say, bro, like you saying like literally that's all it is. It's more than that in the sense of, bro, it eventually turns spiritual. You can fuck around if you're doing like hot yoga, like fucking Joe Rogan, bro. You'll start to hallucinate and shit, but you'll still
Dude.
have your conscious mind while you're tripping and doing it. And that's that like you're touching on certain points that I wrote down. I'm glad you are, because like going like taking a walk in nature, but I was gonna say followed by a cold shower. If you're doing yoga, followed by a cold shower, shock that nervous system. And after the cold shower, that's when you jump into the listening to your favorite, like as what you could try next after the cold shower is listening to your favorite music, because then it's like a combination of different things, for you to fucking get whatever was in your brain out, get any of that, release that energy, because at least you know it's not within you, and then hopefully you can counteract that negative chemical reaction that's going on that's causing you to have the quote unquote trip or anxiety attack. Talking to family could be one. Starting in like when you said yoga, it's dope because like in context, it's like, or even like doing something with like whether it's a friend, a family. I understand people might not want to express things to family. Nothing is ever wrong with you keeping things to yourself. But on the flip side of things, Trent,
It's
us
better
not
to
building
let it
us
out.
not us exactly because us not wanting to build community with family, the people who quote unquote or we hope will know what's best, bro. That shit is a problem. We got to try our best to connect more, because if we're not connected, even if I get it, not everyone has a perfect family. Not saying you have to tell your business to your whole family. What I'm saying is, if you have one or two solid motherfuckers in your, I have my cousin that we grew up together, but bro, you know who your relationship with that person, so you know what y'all been through together, et cetera, that causes that trust. And that's what I mean, the type of people you talk to. I'm not saying just talk to any random member and then unfortunately they tell your business to everyone else. I mean the solid motherfuckers that's in your family that you like.
And like I feel
What's
the
up?
same way, but like right now, my like having just like honestly like a good fucking friend group is so like it makes everything like life or day, like life or like light and day, like completely different. Like you have people around you who like aren't toxic. They have the same fucking issue, like more or less the same like struggles you're going through. It's like everyone relies on everyone else for basically like their own mental health. Like I take care of myself for you, you take care of yourself for me, sort of thing. Like that's how it like sorts out in some ways, but at the same time, like if you have some shit and like you're going through the shit, you can just reach out and hopefully like I'm speaking for myself really, and I know everyone
That's
doesn't
okay, man.
have
Speak
that,
from the
but
heart.
like
Speak from the heart, man.
I know everyone doesn't have that, but like, man, it really like I can honestly say this. My friends have saved my life on more than one occasion just for like, hey, let's go out and have some dinner and fucking just bullshit the whole time and laugh and joke and do some
Beautiful, man.
bullshit.
That's beautiful.
Like for real, like honestly, and my family too, but like mostly mainly my friends, just because same bullshit. They get it because they have that same head fuck as well too. That same circus in their head, that whatever else you want to call it, like the same dark days that I do or whoever else. So it's knowing that you're not alone in that struggle. It really just changes everything, because then hopefully you're like, once again, speaking from my group, we don't like, it's not like a conversation we don't have. Like if we're having like mental health is a conversation we have consistently, like among groups and what, like our group settings and whatnot. It needs to be talked about. We can't
Yes.
just sit around and not talk about this stuff. It needs to be talked about. It needs to be put out there. It needs to be normalized. It needs to be like, oh, I've got a fucking broken toe. Like, oh, okay, well, get some ice for that. Blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
You okay? Can I
You
get
need to
something for you
constantly
and
tend it,
whatnot?
right? Like
Same
constantly
fucking
tend
thing
to
with
it.
mental health.
Yes,
That's how it
exactly.
needs to
See,
be treated.
that's dope. Constantly tending to it, bro. Like, and it's not even, I'm not trying to cut you off. It's just, that's so important what you just said. So I just want to highlight to the people, please constantly talk about things, constantly approach things, have daily or weekly checkups with friends. Because if you can afford to do that, it's going to save more lives than you know. As you can hear, my boy Trent just expressed it. I've had certain similar encounters where my life or other friends' lives have been altered and saved because we actually express things to each other. We actually tell each other, yo, man, I appreciate you, XYZ. Now, with that being said, we have to make sure that we're holding ourselves accountable. The reason why I say holding ourselves accountable is because if you want to make sure, like, yo, man, how come no one's asking me how I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. Try your best to, if you can, ask your other friends how they're doing so that that energy can then be reciprocated. Because sometimes, although I know I just finished saying you might have a family member who you are super close with and you know your relationship with them. Sometimes a person you might feel stronger or like more close to a person than they might feel to you. Or so sometimes you have to check, is what I'm saying, the temperature of the friendship or the temperature of the relationship, so that you know, okay, this person feels comfortable talking to me about it. Because they might be cool with you talking to them about issues and stuff, but they might not be cool with, like, you know what I mean? Like some people might not be able to receive. That doesn't mean that they're less of a friend or anything. It just means that they might feel within themselves. It has nothing to do with you. It doesn't mean that they don't trust you, but you got to, all I'm saying is make sure you check the temperature so that you can share these things with your friends. Because I promise you, bro, that shit is life altering for the better. When you can talk to friends, communicate, get things off your chest, and then on top of that, you know that like they're also willing to share that stuff too. But you still got to check the temperature. I don't know how you feel about those things.
I agree, man. Like you really, like you just got to constantly talking with your boys, your girls, whoever, your non-binary friends. You got to talk to. You just got to talk to the people. You just got to keep talking to them, and you got to make check in with each other or whatnot. Like I said, you take care of yourself for me, and I take care of yourself, and you take care of yourself for you. Basically, I fucked that up. Jesus Christ.
Oh, it's all good. We get it. We get it.
But it's really like I said, it's just about talking about it and making it like a everyday thing you talk about it and not be scared of talk about it. Like we're not our parents, we're not our grandparents. We don't run away from these conversations anymore. Like we push these conversations now. It's just how it is now.
And don't get me wrong, although we express I know you're not saying it in a negative way, saying like we're not our parents, but even with that being said, bro, it's like we have certain freedoms to have certain conversations that they might not have had back then. But regardless, talking about just us, because like it's not that I'm trying to talk about them, but just referring to like the conversation you just had kind of sparked. Us being the age we are and being able to communicate the way we can, I think it's more helpful, the fact that, than hurting, because some people can express that they don't like sharing feelings, or I don't like talking on the phone, or I don't like talking in person, or blah, blah, blah. Like the way they communicate sometimes they like alter it. They don't want to be as expressive, and that's okay. What I'm realizing is, although we're not our parents, bro.
Oh,
My bad. Although we're not our parents, bro, like no super loud truck and helicopter. Even though we're not our parents, bro, it's like you might have to talk to yourself. And what I mean by that is you might have to write things down in a journal and come back to that idea later and try to add solutions or write down certain solutions that you find are working to that quote unquote issue you had. If again, back to the whole suggestion thing. If you're not the type of person who wants to talk to people, even though like you have the help, you're not ready to yet. Maybe try writing things down in a journal, right? Or writing things down, or just something to keep track. Even if it's in your phone, you jot notes, voice notes. You might want to say, "Hey, it's Tuesday the 11th. I'm feeling like this. I'm gonna try this, and this to see how it works in helping me heal." And then you just do whatever, right?
I'm glad you brought up the journaling because that was something I was going to mention. Like that's another really fucking great coping strategy. Like we talked about getting it out. That's a perfect way to get it out. Like you get it out. Like you're not getting it out by talking to somebody, but you're getting it out by putting it on the paper. And you can literally put that paper away in a book and put it on the shelf and walk away from it and gone. It really can be like that. Or it can be, there's other exercises too. Like I've heard, like I haven't really used these a lot specifically, but like you write down your fears and your anxieties and all that stuff on a piece of paper, and then you like destroy that piece of paper basically, and then you like burn it or something like that. You know what I mean? Like
that's interesting. That's interesting.
I haven't tried that one myself, but it's like, but it's just about like vocalizing those fears and whatnot, and that like those little like fucking whatever not. And it's just once again, it's getting it out there and putting it out, even if it's not to somebody else, it's to the paper that's still out there. Like it's still out there and on something and not just in here. And that's the big key, is not keeping it in here, because when it just keeps in here, it just festers in here.
It is. That's so dope. And that's an idea that I think I want to start trying. Not that I have like, well, I mean, of course we all have our issues and maybe anxieties or insecurities or fears or whatever, but it's more of like, as of lately, like I'm trying not to think like, oh, how many fears or anxieties have I had lately? Because it's sometimes they come and they pass, right? So you don't look at it like this is something that I'm going to hold on to for the rest of my life type shit. But some of those ones, those deeper ones, is what I want to write down and see if I could burn the paper or crumple it and throw it away or whatever, and see if it helps or works in that regard. Because that's like more of a metaphysical thing where you're like, I'm writing this down, I'm destroying it. Let me manifest and make sure that shit is real, that I destroyed it in my brain too, kind of thing. Like that's a deep way of shit. That's a deep way of ridding yourself of something. Just, hey man,
on the fucking nose with that one, sir. Holy.
No, like I said, like you think about it, it's like that's deep as hell. Like, but it's something that's super crucial. And to the people listening, that's what's needed. Like you, when a little earlier, like I kind of said like something about accountability, and it's just, I know it might sound crazy, but it's you alone who has to be accountable for life, like your life. Like you, no, of course, no one else can live it. Others can help you through it, and that's amazing. But you got to take the steps, bro. You got to be the one to say, hey, let me write down this and deal with this issue, or hey, let me talk to this person, let them know how I feel, or whatever. Because it's like there's no other way to get, like, in my opinion, what I realize is, not even what I realized, like what I've learned recently is you have to tackle things head on in this life. You can't like soft toe around it and try to avoid it and stuff like that. In the sense of, if you want to accomplish something or you want to conquer something, or you have to approach the thing head on. You can't, there is no one who can do it for you, unfortunately. So it's like the tools and the different tools me and Trent spoke about throughout this episode, like I hope you guys can try to use them, because that shit will, in my opinion, I think it will help some of the suggestions. Hopefully they do. And please let us know if they do. But I don't know if you have more you want to add on these types of subjects, you know?
I don't know, man. It's a tricky thing because everyone's different. Everyone's motivations are different. Everyone's goals are different. Everyone's backstories are different. The environment they live in is different. And all of it is a contributing factor to now. The future and the past is wrapped up in the now, and we are trapped in the now, for better or for worse. This is all we have, is right now. So the most important thing to do is work on the now and try to keep moving forward with the now. No matter how good or how bad it is, your future and your past is set right now because there's nothing else but right now. Like that's it. The past is a memory. The future is just like imagination at this point. All we have is right now, this moment, right now, this moment. You know what I mean? Like that's it. So we have to take it like that. Like there's people who want to like get themselves stressed out and overplan themselves to death. And I understand that because OCD is a real thing and it's better to have a plan sometimes, honestly. But at the same time, like you can't just have a plan because if you just stick to a rigid plan, shit gets fucked up and you go out of sorts. You got to be flexible, like be like water, like Bruce Lee said.
Exactly.
But it's all about the moment. Take it moment by moment. And if you can be happy in this moment and you can be happy for the rest of your fucking life because it's just about moments.
That's what it is, bro.
All we have.
The now. And that's the thing, bro. Yesterday was history. Tomorrow's a mystery. And the present is a gift. So it's like that's the whole thing. Like I forget who exactly made that quote, but that's the beauty of life. But to the people listening, it's exactly that. Live in the now. Be accountable for now. Love yourself now. Right? I think that's been another episode. That shit was beautiful.
Fuck yeah, it has.
My boy Trent, we out here cooking like grandma. All right, yo.
God damn.
To the people listening, it's all love, bro. And we're gonna holler at you shortly. It's another episode of Ultra Fly Talk. Double O, when you double O in the go.